I don't really have that much for news this week, but I do have a few quick ones and then a bigger one that I think we touched on as a topic a week or two ago. But they canceled Anime NYC. No shit.
Right.
I'm like, no shit. It didn't need to happen, and if it did happen, it was going to be very bad because I know a lot of people traveled just for that convention. So it would have ignited a whole new kind of bullshit COVID flame in New York. So yeah, that's not happening. Did you see that Bleacher Report Cowboy Bebop thing?
Yeah, I thought that was sick. It almost made me want to watch the NBA.
Yeah. Oh my god. I was like, someone needs a raise because this was a very good crossover. Did they have and that must have cost some money for them to do that
Oh,
shit.
maybe a little bit, but like it seemed like some of it was could be done through like just effects and filters, but like the timing and cutting it together it took a fan. A fan had to be the driving force behind that one because there's no profit motive. There's no Cowboy Bebop is not doing a thing this year in America anyway. So there's really nothing like cross-branded, no cross-branded synergy to be had there. That's just fan effort.
Yeah. What else did I see? Oh, Assassination Classroom is coming to Toonami. So if you've never seen Assassination Classroom, good. Wait, not good. I mean, no, that's not good. Get ready because it's like it goes through a lot of emotions. It's like it's all over the place. Like I by the end of it, I was like, I still don't even know how to define this show as like what genre it was. Like, was it slice of life? Was it action? Was it adventure? Was it like mystery? Like, it was a mix of a lot of shit. I enjoyed the shit out of it though. It was really, really fun. So if you've never seen it and you're thinking about it, maybe tune into the Toonami run. If it's dubbed though, don't do it. Don't do it. And then my last one that I have is, I think this was last week. You had a news topic about one of the men in the anime industry talking about the globalization.
Yeah, right. The Galapagos syndrome.
The Galapagos syndrome, and I'm actually kind of like slightly seeing the wear of the global audience on in relation to the topics of a lot of animes. And so there's this anime coming out called Adults Are Clueless About Falling in Love. And it's supposed to be a rom-com anime about adults in their early 30s who like haven't really dated anyone in a long time in their office setting, and they're gonna go through the rom-com process and fall in love with each other. And a lot of the comments that I was seeing about these things was, oh my god, finally something that doesn't have to do with high schoolers. Or like, oh my god, like something that actually represents like an age range beyond just like adolescents and young adults. It's like actually people who are a little bit later in life who are established, but nothing is happening. And at first I was like, oh, well, I guess it's like one or two comments, but a lot of the comments in the thread were like, yeah, the audience is growing and they still have money and they want to invest, but it's like, how many shonen like high school rom-coms can you like really go back to back to back before you just like, I know exactly what's going to happen? And people probably want them, or I think people want them to like explore more complex feelings, especially when adulthood comes into it and like adult problems, because a lot of the things that happen in the rom-coms in high school, they're not going to really happen in adult rom-coms. I'm seeing people say we want more things of this variety because it's not all just young people buying up the manga volumes and things like that. But I also understand that it's about money and profit. And if those things are moving more than the more adult focused things, then hey, it's a business at the end of the day. So I get that also.
Yeah, and I think one of the arguments from the article, just talking about the current semi-insular nature of Japanese TV production, is that it's not obvious how the anime industry sort of as a whole can be more responsive to foreign interest in their products. So not just in storylines, but if you are a production company and you want to be able to sell well throughout the world, you need some understanding not only of what the people are willing to pay for, but also what are the sensibilities and sensitivities of these different markets. So, producing teen-focused rom-com dramas that are strongly set in or strongly follow a Japanese setting or are buried inside of Japanese culture is great. But if half, 2/3 or even a vast majority of the people who are paying for this stuff are actually not Japanese, and then you want to sweeten your product by adding foreign themes, whether they're characters, whether it's introspection on foreign culture, or you want to pull something in, because again, a lot of these artists who are making these shows are not they're not blind. They want to open up and they want to draw inspiration from a lot of places. It's not clear how to properly bring those perspectives into the production process, not just like marketing a thing after we made it. So like that I think that also applies to the types of stuff that gets made, the genre, what's big in other places. Like I know that there are even I won't say misconceptions, but there are commonly held ideas among game producers and anime producers that Western audiences like certain things. But it's not obvious to me when you go and look at the fandoms for a lot of these products that are in the West, that these massive numbers of people, all they want is, big dumb action Dragon Ball Z stuff or whatever. Like what gets over in the West could be something like slice of life, rom-com, etc. But it's like a one-way street, right? A Japanese studio makes something, it works very well overseas, but they never get the feedback about why it works. They're not sure, because there's no communication that comes back the other way other than maybe sales or some money. And a lot of times, as you know, the production studios are not on the committee, so they don't actually get a cut of any. The creatives, literally the people who are thinking through like how to make something appealing, they don't even know sometimes that their shows are big or who they're big with or why. So
actually, and on that same note, there's an article on Crunchyroll this past week about there being so much more money coming into the anime industry from overseas that those people are starting to get pay raises.
Yeah, a little bit. So, I mean, I love to hear things like that, because it means that the promise of a lot of these partnerships is in some way being realized, especially Netflix and Crunchyroll. I guess AT&T owns Crunchyroll right now, so it's really like AT&T money. But the bottom line is that there were a lot of promises made a few years ago when news first broke about a lot of the relationships that we're seeing produce stuff now, that this would lead to better working conditions, pay, and so on for folks. And there was a fair amount of skepticism at the time from like the journalist side, and then also from the fans, that whether or not this would actually pan out. So it's good to know that there's at least some evidence that it is working out for the creators. There's still probably quite a bit that needs to be done, but the fact that people are getting paid, or at least cut into the pay a bit more, is very it's heartwarming to hear that that's actually happening.
Indeed. Did you have anything for this week?
Nothing meaty, other than there's been a rash of arrests of Japanese Pokemon Go players for assault in public. And
what?
Just to like follow up on the idea of you never know your demographics. These are not children, fighting in schoolyards over petty things. These are grown adults. What's going on? Grown adults assaulting one another. So one example of a story was an individual was walking on the sidewalk while playing Pokemon Go, saw a car that was parked awkwardly, sort of half in the street, and looked inside the car and saw another person playing Pokemon Go, and was angry that the fact this person was playing the same game, but that led them to park sloppily, caused them to drag this man out of the car and fight him on the sidewalk. Another example was were two people who got arrested for assaulting, each other near a Pokemon Go gym location. No
Now,
idea
I'm not
why, but
surprised by that shit.
they were
I'm not
fighting.
surprised by that.
So, and these are like 50, somewhere between the age of like 35 and 50 or even 60.
Mm-hmm. Listen, the old people be playing Pokemon Go religiously, even these Americans. Wow. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised by this if during the beginning of Pokemon Go, but now it's like, what?
Well, I mean, the hardcores have been weeded out. I remember, I don't know if this person is still doing it. Wasn't there like a guy who had an Instagram or a Twitter account where he was in China and he was like running like 70 Pokemon Go
Oh
on like a
yeah.
matrix that he drove around on the front of his bicycle.
I remember, yeah. I've definitely I don't know if he's still going, but I definitely remember that guy. Oh wow.
I will say there is some other like a little like sidebar. It's just interesting that you can see that the kind of obsessive behavior that is commonly thrown on young people who have like video game addictions or other sorts of addictions. It's in a weird way like that neat stereotype, or in the United States, it's like the basement dweller stereotype, is a product of people getting addicted, getting hooked on the culture at a certain age. So when you see someone who wasn't, let's say they were not involved, didn't know anything about games, were not on the internet, weren't doing anything, but were still susceptible to the same like gaming
wave
addiction, when they get hit by it at a much older age, the way it plays out is like so different, but still just as antisocial. So I just think it's kind of funny that you have like old men fighting each other on the street over Pokemon Go gyms, and yet the people that we laugh at are the basement dwellers. Like, I personally would prefer, the non-socially adjusted folks to just stay inside and not fight each other on the streets. But
Yeah. Then let's go ahead and move to the episode reviews. So what do you want to start?